Let me tell you about the exact moment it happened. It was a Wednesday evening. Nothing special about it. Ryan had just gotten home from work, heated up some leftover pasta, and sat down at his kitchen table with his laptop open the way he always did after dinner. He pulled up his financial tracking app, the one he had been updating every single month for 4 years and 3 months, and he entered his latest numbers: investment account balance, savings account balance, car value, credit card balance, student loan remaining. He hit calculate, and the number on the screen said $102,417. Ryan did not jump out of his seat. He did not call anyone. He did not pop a bottle of champagne or take a photo for Instagram or feel the wave of euphoria he had always assumed would arrive with this number. He sat very still for a moment, looking at the screen, and then he thought something that surprised him. He thought, so this is what it feels like. And then he finished his pasta. Today we are going to talk about the first $100,000, not as a financial milestone, though it absolutely is one, but as a human experience, what it actually takes to get there, what it actually feels like when you do, and most importantly, what it does to you. Because here is what nobody tells you before you reach this number. The $100,000 does not change your life. The person you become while building it does. Let me tell you who Ryan actually is, because this story only means something if Ryan feels real. Ryan is 29 years old. He works as a junior account manager at a mid-sized marketing firm in Austin, Texas. He earns $68,000 a year, a decent salary for Austin, not a comfortable one, because Austin is not what it used to be when it comes to the cost of living. He rents a 1-bedroom apartment that he shares with a cat named Hendrix. He drives a 2017 Honda Civic that he bought used 3 years ago and has no plans to replace. He cooks most of his meals, goes out with friends about twice a month, takes one vacation a year that he plans carefully, and does not go into debt for. Ryan is not exceptional. He will be the first person to tell you that. He did not graduate with honors. He is not climbing the corporate ladder with unusual speed. He does not have a side hustle that generates passive income. He does not have parents who gave him a financial head start. His father is a retired postal worker. His mother works part-time at a dental office. They are good people who worked hard their whole lives and arrived at retirement with a modest Social Security check and a house that is almost paid off. Ryan started his financial journey at 24 years old, with $7,000 in student loan debt, a starting salary of $49,000, and one piece of advice from a book he read on his phone during his lunch break in the first week of his first real job. The advice was this: before you spend a single dollar of your paycheck, move 15% of it to an account you do not look at every payday, without exception, for as long as you can. That was the beginning. Year 1. Ryan is 24. He sets up his automatic transfer the day he gets his first real paycheck. 15% of his take-home pay, approximately $490 per month, moves to a Roth IRA before he even sees it. He opens the account on a Sunday afternoon, buys one index fund, and does not think about it again for 30 days. At the end of month 1, his account has $490 and some change from the market. It is not interesting. It does not feel like anything. His colleagues at work are talking about their apartments, their weekends, a guy named Tyler who just leased a BMW. Ryan is eating lunch at his desk, not because he cannot go out, because he ran the numbers once and realized that the lunch crowd at the place down the street costs him about $12 every time, and $12 per workday is roughly $3,000 per year, and $3,000 per year invested at 7% for 30 years is approximately $23,000. Ryan does the math on things. That is his actual superpower, not intelligence, just a consistent habit of knowing what things actually cost. By the end of year 1, Ryan has approximately $6,000 in his investment account. He has paid down $2,000 of his student loan. His net worth assets minus liabilities is approximately $3,000. Not impressive. Not nothing. He adjusts the spreadsheet. He updates the number. He goes to bed. Years 2 through 4 are the years that separate the people who reach 100,000 from the people who stay stuck at 12. Not because anything dramatic happens, because nothing dramatic happens. This is the part of the financial journey that nobody makes content about. There is no inflection point in year 2. There is no viral moment in year 3. It is just the transfer, every payday, month after month, while the market does what the market does, and the balance grows slowly, and sometimes drops, and then grows again. Ryan gets a raise at the end of year 2. $4,000. His colleagues celebrate at happy hour. Ryan increases his monthly transfer by $600. His lifestyle does not change. His rate of wealth accumulation does. In year 3, the market drops significantly. Ryan's investment account which had reached approximately $22,000, drops to $17,000 in the space of about 6 weeks. He gets a notification on his phone. He looks at it. He puts his phone down. He does not sell. He does not move to cash. He does not call anyone. He adds his regular contribution and moves on with his week. This moment, this specific moment of not reacting, is worth more to Ryan's financial future than any specific investment decision he will ever make. Because the people who sold during the drop and moved to cash locked in a loss. Ryan bought discounted shares for 6 months while the market was low and rode the recovery all the way back up. He did not do this because he was smart. He did it because he had decided in advance what he would do during a crash, so that when the crash came, he did not have to decide anything. He already knew. By the end of year 4, Ryan's net worth, including his investment account, his savings, his car value, and minus the remaining student loan, is approximately $62,000. He is 28 years old. He is more than halfway to a number he cannot quite believe he is actually approaching. Something shifts in year 4 that Ryan has a hard time explaining to people who have not been through it. The account crosses $50,000, and suddenly the monthly return from the market starts to feel significant in a way it did not before. At $62,000, invested at 7%, the annual return is approximately $4,340. That is $362 per month generated without Ryan contributing anything extra. His money is now generating the equivalent of a part-time minimum wage job, invisible, automatic, requiring nothing from him. Ryan starts to see it differently, not as savings, as a machine that gets slightly larger every month, and therefore generates slightly more every month, and therefore grows slightly faster every month. And the more he understands this, not intellectually, but viscerally, in the way you understand something, when you can see it happening in real numbers on a real screen, the less he thinks about the target, and the more he thinks about just keeping the machine running. He also does something in year 4 that he had been putting off for 2 years. He sits down one Saturday morning with a spreadsheet and calculates his actual monthly expenses with precision, not a rough estimate, the real number. He discovers he has been spending approximately $42 per month on subscriptions he had forgotten about. He cancels them. He increases his monthly investment transfer by $42, not because $42 is going to make him rich, because the habit of looking for leaks and redirecting them is what builds the financial identity that eventually produces the $100,000 net worth. And the $42 is just the symptom of that habit. By month 50 of his financial journey, Ryan has a net worth of $91,000. He is 28 years old, and he is $9,000 away from a number he started moving toward when he was eating takeout in his first apartment and wondering if $490 a month would ever add up to anything. And then it is a Wednesday evening, leftover pasta, laptop open. The familiar routine of the monthly update. Investment account, $74,300. Savings account, $18,600. Car current value, $9,200. Credit card balance, 0. Ryan does not carry a balance. He never has. Student loan remaining $2,600. He calculates. The number is $102,417. He sits with it for a while. He had imagined this moment differently. He had imagined it arriving with more ceremony, with a feeling he could describe to someone at a dinner party. He had expected it to feel like a destination reached, like stepping off a long flight and feeling ground beneath your feet again. It did not feel like that. It felt more like looking out the window and realizing the landscape had changed while you were not paying attention. Gradual, then sudden, but not dramatic in either direction. What Ryan actually felt was something quieter and more useful than celebration. He felt certain. For the first time in his adult financial life, he felt certain that the system worked. Not theoretically certain, he had believed it theoretically for years, but experientially certain. The kind of certain you can only feel when you have been through something long enough to see it produce a result that you started with no reason to believe was possible. And that certainty, that calm, evidence-based certainty, is the actual value of the first $100,000, not the money. The certainty, because everything after that is just the same system, running longer, producing a larger result. Here's what changes after the first $100,000. The math changes. At $100,000 invested at 7%, the annual return is $7,000. That is $583 per month generated passively. Ryan's money is now generating almost as much as he contributes each month without him lifting a finger. The second $100,000 will come faster than the first, not because Ryan earns more, though his salary has increased, but because the machine is bigger, and bigger machines generate more output. The the psychology changes. Ryan no longer feels financially anxious in the low-level chronic way he had felt since college. He does not worry about unexpected expenses the way he used to. His emergency fund is funded. His retirement contributions are on track. His net worth is growing faster than he is adding to it. He does not feel rich. He feels stable. And stable, genuinely stable, evidenced by a number rather than a feeling, turns out to be the foundation on which everything else becomes possible. The options change. Ryan has not used any of this yet. The money is still invested. He has not taken a sabbatical or started a business or made any of the big moves that financial freedom supposedly enables. But he is aware in a way he was not before that those options exist, that if his job became intolerable tomorrow, he has a runway, that if an opportunity appeared that required leaving a steady paycheck for a period of time, he could survive it. The options are not the same as acting on them, but having them is different from not having them. Here is what does not change. Ryan still eats leftover pasta on Wednesday evenings. He still drives the 2017 Civic. He still packs lunch most days. He still does not have the newest phone. He still goes out with friends twice a month and does not spend a lot when he does. His life does not look different from the outside. It is not supposed to. The point was never to look wealthy. The point was to be it. I want to be specific about what actually produced Ryan's result, because inspiration fades and specifics do not. The first thing was the automation. Ryan did not decide every month to invest. He decided once in month 1, and the transfer ran automatically for 50 months without requiring a single additional decision. This is not a minor detail. It is the entire mechanism. Every month that investing requires a fresh decision is a month where the decision can go wrong, where something costs more than expected, where a temptation appears, where life gets complicated. The automation eliminates the decision, and eliminating the decision eliminates the possibility of making the wrong one. The second thing was the crash behavior. Ryan's decision not to sell during the market drop in year 3 protected approximately $22,000 of future value that selling would have cost him. He made that decision not in the moment of the crash, but in advance before the crash, when the market was fine and his emotions were calm. The lesson is not that crashes are opportunities. The lesson is that your financial behavior in a crisis is determined by the decisions you made before the crisis. Decide now what you will do when the market drops 30%. Write it down. And then when it happens, you are not deciding. You are following instructions you left for yourself. The third thing was the identity shift. Ryan stopped thinking of himself as someone trying to save money at some point in year 2. He started thinking of himself as an investor, as someone who builds things, as someone whose financial decisions are guided by a system rather than by how he feels on a given Tuesday. That identity, once it settles, filters every financial choice automatically, not through willpower, through consistency. Here is the thing about the first 100,000 that every person who has been through it will tell you if you ask them. It is not the hardest 100,000. It is the most important one, because the first 100,000 is the proof. It is the evidence that the system works. It is the answer to the question, can someone like me, with my income, in my city, with my student loans and my ordinary life and my complete absence of lucky breaks, actually build something? The answer is yes. Ryan's answer is yes. And Ryan's $100,000 is not a story about Ryan. It is a story about a system that works for anyone willing to run it. Anyone who sets up the automatic transfer, does not react to market drops, does not let their lifestyle consume their income growth, and waits long enough for compound growth to do the math that individual contributions alone can never do. The first 100,000 is slow. The second is faster. The third is faster still. And somewhere along the way, at a number you will discover when you get there, the machine runs so efficiently that the rest of the journey is not a question of effort. It is a question of patience. Ryan knows that now. He knew it theoretically before. He knows it experientially now. And the difference between those two kinds of knowing is everything. I want to ask you something directly before you close this video. Where are you right now in this journey? Not in terms of net worth, though I want to know that too. In terms of the system, do you have the automatic transfer running? Do you have the investment account open? Do you know what you will do when the market drops? If the answer to any of those is no, tonight is the night. Not next week. Not when the numbers feel right. Tonight, it took Ryan 4 years and 3 months to reach $100,000 from zero. Every day you wait is a day that does not count toward your 4 years and 3 months. And if you are already in the system, if you are at year 2 or year 3 or somewhere in the middle of the slow, unglamorous, absolutely certain journey, I want you to know that the Wednesday evening is coming. The leftover pasta, the laptop, the number on the screen that takes a moment to land. It is coming. The only variable is how long you have been running the system. Drop a comment below. Tell me your number. Where are you right now? 0, 10,000, 50,000, 99,000. I read every single one. And there is something about saying the number out loud, even in a YouTube comment section, that makes the journey feel more real. Subscribe. And I mean that more specifically than the usual ask. This channel is building a series. The first 100,000, the first 200, what changes at 500, what happens at 1,000,000. Every milestone told as a story, with the real numbers and the real psychology and the real ordinary person who got there. If Ryan's story felt like your story, if you recognize yourself in the pasta and the automatic transfer and the Wednesday evening, then the next video in this series is going to feel even more personal. Subscribe and hit the bell, because the next milestone is already being filmed, and the people who are here from the beginning are the ones who will feel every step of the journey as it happens. See you in the next one.